Hey everybody, welcome back to the Bloomsbury Health Podcast. Today we have Dr. Saskia Biskup of the Cegat Clinic in Tübingen, Germany. She's a fantastic human being and it's a great interview. For anybody that gets anything out of this or thinks that someone could benefit from using Saskia's hospital in Germany, there'll be contact details for Cegat at the end of the podcast. Again, hope everybody enjoys. Thanks. What we're trying to do is do podcasts with people like you who are integral parts of helping people through cancer, and make it like just a chat, like just us talking about the things that you do and what you guys do at Seagate, how you got to this point, because
It's a huge achievement.
it's a huge
Like, it's
achievement.
quite inspiring.
Very, it's helped. Like again, you've been a huge part of our journey and our purpose for
I feel like you kind of gave us hope
yeah.
that we didn't have before we
So
came to Cegat Clinic. So we just want to share your story and
yeah, just
the promise you offer, I guess.
So yeah, if we wanted to start off by just if you giving us a wee explanation on where Saskia Biskup is from, how she came up with this concept of using peptides, like just give us a little bit of background on you.
Thanks. First of all, it's a great honor for me that you give me the opportunity to talk with you. And so, I can start out to tell you a little bit about why I'm doing this and how this all happened. You know that I studied medicine back in the 90s, and I was very much interested in research. So I did a PhD, and this was actually in neuroscience. And I love to do research, and I stumbled across a gene that causes Parkinson's disease when it's mutated. And so I worked at the university for quite some time, and then a new technology came out. The technology is called next generation sequencing, and this is many years ago. And the gene I was working on is huge. It's called LAG2, and to sequence it took forever, really weeks and months. And so I talked to my husband, Dirk, and he's an economist. And I told him, my research budget is so small, I cannot afford such a high throughput sequencing machine. And he said, I always wanted to be independent. I always wanted to fund a company. Why don't we do this together? And then that was the first time that we actually thought that it could be a lot of fun to work together, like I think you do too. So it's fun to work together. And he asked me tons of questions. He wanted to understand genetics. He wanted to understand why I needed this technology. And together with him, I was able to write a business plan, because this is not what you're trained in when you study medicine. And so we wrote the business plan together. And then, we basically, we didn't have money at that time. So we needed to get a credit to fund ourselves. So this was a private risk that we took, a big risk, but we jumped into it. And then we started Seagate exactly 15 years ago. And we were one of the first companies in the world to use next generation sequencing in a diagnostic setting. So the idea of sequencing a lot in the shortest time helped many clinicians to find the genetic cause for many diseases. So we have children with metabolic diseases, with epilepsies. We have patients with Parkinson's disease, but also with cancer. We reduced the time of waiting for a genetic diagnosis from several years to now a few days. And now the technology is all over the world, and it's a no-brainer. But when we funded Seagate, everyone was telling us, don't do it. The risk is too big. You will not know whether this is working out. But we just strongly believed in this. So this is what Seagate is built on, is the diagnostic genetic testing for patients, but also for research projects and for pharma. So we also do a lot of diagnostics for clinical trials. So Seagate has a focus on diagnostics. And now when you think this further, if you find the cause of a disease, and if you take cancer, we are interested in finding the mutations that drive cancer cells, drive their growth, their division, that they don't respect neighboring cells. We want to understand the tumor biology in very, very detail. And we use this technology in order to understand each patient's cancer. And so when we did this and we found the mutations, then the next step was there has to be a treatment. So if you diagnose and you understand, and then you, based on this knowledge, you want to treat. And at that time point, I did not have a treating facility. And what you call Cegat Clinic is actually not Cegat Clinic. It's a separate entity that we founded. And this is our outpatient oncology center. So we can actually go from diagnostics to therapy. And this is what we are doing here, all under one roof.
That's amazing. So when I first came to see you, I think you guys analysed my tumour and created what you called a vaccination. And it was based purely on how mine grew and its structure. And that really blew my mind, seeing that as an option, because you're not offered that.
No.
Really. So yeah, as I said, like finding you really opened up our eyes to what could be done.
You meeting you, Saskia, was like a real fork in the road thing. Beth was at a clinic in a different part of Germany, and there was another one of your patients that happened to be at that clinic at the same time. And when we realized what she'd explained to us in layman terms, nothing specific, but we were like, holy shit, like this is what we should be looking at, because everybody else they were willing to destroy Beth to be able to try and take away the cancer. You weren't doing that. You were working in a way where it wasn't destroying her body. It was actually targeted towards these mutations and these bad cells using peptides.
But you know who makes it possible? It's actually you, Beth, as a patient, because without these brave patients, we could never translate our research. So, you know, a lot is found in the laboratory, in cell culture, sometimes also in animals, but that doesn't mean that it's helping patients. And I did research for many years, and I never thought this is going to help a patient because it's so far away. So what we are doing is we are translating our knowledge that we have on the fly to a patient. If you look at how long it takes for a diagnostic test to become approved, on average from the invention to the approval, 13 years. If you take a medication from when it's first identified to when it becomes approved, on average 17 years. And what we are doing is here at Cegat, when we find something relevant or someone else finds something relevant, we take the technology and we translate to a patient. But there, you need to have a brave patient like you. We believe in this, and so what you just described is, we think that the individual's immune system is in a position to recognize cancer cells as foreign. But when a patient develops cancer, the immune system is not fighting against the tumor. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to overcome the strategy of the tumor, which is to hide from the immune system. And we overcome this by training a patient's immune system to recognize how the tumor looks like and that this is not belonging there. The concept is very similar to when you design a vaccine against, for example, a coronavirus or influenza. It's always the same principle. You want to teach the body to produce immune cells. We call these immune cells T cells. These are effector cells of the immune system, and they help everyone to fight diseases. And so we try to just use this as a strategy to fight cancer. I have not invented this. We have a hero here in Tübingen. His name is Hans-Georg Ramensee. He actually invented this technology that we are using many years ago. We use it a bit differently. So we focus on what we call neoantigens. We focus on mutations that are unique to each cancer cell because they do not occur in normal tissue. So when we design a treatment, like you described it, that it should only target cancer cells and never a body's own cell. So we want to avoid side effects, and you experience this, so you know what it means in terms of side effects. So we have to be careful with allergic reactions, but this is also a sign that the body is strongly reacting against the antigen.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like, I find, especially with my diagnosis being glioblastoma, I was told it's like chemo, radiotherapy, then good luck. And it's so insightful to see the other options out there, and especially one like this targeted. And I love that there's an immune way rather than an attacking way, if that makes sense. So chemo, when you take it, I'm not saying it's not helpful at all, but it affects your whole body. Whereas with the injection I was getting from you for the vaccine, that's what it was referred to as. It was catered to me, and I was lucky with side effects. And then did have an allergic reaction, but I think that's the tumor adapting. And I know my tumors, and that's kind of not what it's known for, but that's what makes it hard to treat.
And the strategy that we are using is different to chemo because it's designed for the long term. So our aim is to bring a patient in a position to fight and control the disease. We never talk about cure because cancer cells occur in every human all the time. So this is just lying in our nature. The genome that we carry is so huge that errors occur frequently, but what we expect is that the immune system is able to recognize these aberrant cells. And what we are aiming for is a long-term control of cancer cells. And so with chemotherapy, this is like you say, there are many situations where patients depend on it, and it's a strategy that can help a lot, but it's not really designed for the long term. It's sometimes giving patients hard time with side effects. So precision medicine is what we believe in. Precision medicine requires precision diagnostics. So we look much broader than other laboratories do. We think that every individual and every disease is unique. So we need to do a lot of diagnostic testing. And then we design treatment that is very individual. And the aim is that this is so specific that we are not creating side effects, which is crucial because in the end, when this works, you have your own immune system trained and you don't need to take any other medication in the best case. But this is maybe the aim for the future. And then we have a long-term control of cancer in an individual.
You say about how the cancer cells are very, very prevalent and very common in every human being. Is there a future where we try to remove that from the human body? Like, is that? I know that might sound a bit wacky. Like,
No,
is
that's really interesting.
Is there a future where we try to treat ourselves in terms of just removing that gene as removing that part of the human body rather than is that not a possibility, or is that just
Josh, it lies in our nature, I would say, because the human genome is 6 billion positions in trillions of cells. So we need this information, which is encoded by our genes in order to live. So This is the good side, but on the other side, if you have such a huge amount of information encoded in our genes, they are prone to have errors. And so it lies in our nature that these errors occur. And unfortunately, the older we get, the more our cells are aging. This control mechanism of eradicating cells that are cancerous is getting less effective. So the older you get, the more likely it is for a human to get cancer. So here we say that every second man and every third woman gets cancer during lifetime. So this is where you find humans, you will find cancer.
okay?
It's a scary statistic, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's something that people have been hidden from. I think this has been known quite commonly that it's the fact that people get diagnosed more frequently now too. Like there's more ways of there's more people getting screenings. There's more people getting tested to make sure that sort of things have progressed from say like the 80s or like the 70s or even the 60s where people would die in their sleep and they would assume that was something, then there'd be an autopsy given and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, it is scary to think because I think the statistic in England is 50%. So 50% of people in the UK will get cancer.
But you can do a lot. So prevention is a big topic. So if people do not smoke or do not drink too much alcohol, if they exercise a lot, eat healthy, so you can do a lot. Still, we have many patients who never drank alcohol, never smoked, had only vegetarian diet, still get cancer. And then for those, and also for the others, I think when we think about how we could tackle this in the future, we are thinking about prophylactic vaccines. Again, the same concept with viruses, for example. You could, for example, if you do a prophylactic cancer vaccine, bring your body in an upfront better position to fight cancer if it occurs. So if you think this further, the problem that we have now is that we are always running behind. When a patient gets diagnosed with cancer, then we do diagnostic testing, we do manufacture vaccines, patients get treatment. We never get ahead of the cancer. We are always running behind. And the problem is that when you run behind, the cancer cell can be faster, can adapt faster, can have resistance strategies and so on. So our aim for the future will be to get ahead of the cancer, and that you could potentially do by prophylactic vaccines. And this is something that I'm particularly very, very interested in. But you will find no funding to do that. Ideally, I'm now 52. I'm now using my own or prophylactic cancer vaccines. If this project is successful and I maybe turn 85 without any cancer, this will be almost 30 years from now. So who is going to fund a clinical trial where you have the results in 30 years from now? No one's interested in this, especially not pharmaceutical industries. So although this would be a very interesting way to go, I would have no chance to fund such a project.
It's just such a shame because I think when you get put in this position where whether you're diagnosed with cancer or Parkinson's or MS or whatever it ends up being, all these things become very important. All these different ideas suddenly become not just ideas, but how do we just try? And then the fact that it has to go through such a rigorous process to get approved, like you've got certain government officials that will be sided with one pharmaceutical company over another. Like then there's human error, which is just
I think even like their need
bullshit.
for profit, they're not going to invest in a project that's long.
Yeah. So actually on that, Saskia, with the way that the German health system is set up, would there ever be a time where they take your technology and put it in the public sector? Or are you still talking another 30 years down the road? Or what would happen?
Oh, that's a complex question, Josh.
Oh, sorry.
No, I think you cannot be a scientist, a medical doctor, a politician, an entrepreneur all at the same time. So the day only has 24 hours. If we would think as a country, we spend a lot of money, much more money than other countries, but our average age is not as good as from other countries. So that means that we are spending a lot of money highly inefficiently. And so one could think about more efficiently use our capabilities. And we have great researchers, especially here in Tübingen. We have an excellence cluster with focused on personalized oncology last December. Then we have a national cancer center also here in Tübingen. We have greatest researchers here, high density of artificial intelligence. We are located in the middle of the Cyber Valley in Tübingen. Lots of very talented people, and yet we will not be able to overcome problems that we, from the science side, could already solve. But we just can't do it because of, especially, the problems of regulation. I think you also know this, that there are so many hurdles that basically prevent us from doing what we think would be necessary to do for patients. And it should all be in a setting where you can trust as a patient. So it should not be like we do something, you have no idea what we are doing. You know that whatever we do, we are fully transparent. We get all the data belongs to you. So we think that we can only move things forward when we are sharing data and you decide this as a patient, but you always share your data and make it accessible for us and for others. And that will move us. And I think the power that we have is quite strong. So I'm an optimistic person. And so we should just put together our strengths and then hopefully we go step by step in the right direction.
Well, that's what we're trying to do with our company. With our company in the UK, the whole idea is to group and put people together and put them on the path that they want to try do. So whether it's us telling them about Cegat and the good things that you've done for us, or whether it's Dr. Sunil, who's the private doctor here in the UK, all those types of things. I think that's such a strong idea of being able to, if we all put our mind together, if we all share what each other is doing, we will figure this out together. There's not going to be one person that makes it to the mountaintop by themselves. It's, it takes a group of people to climb Everest. Like, it's not just one man that makes it to the top. There's a group of people, or man or woman. It is so true. There's so many different cultural differences between what we're doing in medicine, and none of them are wrong, but no one can tell us whether they're truly 100% right all the time. So, like, by just sharing each other's knowledge is such a, great idea. Like, and just it'd be so awesome if one day there is just a world hub of health that everyone is sharing exactly what they're doing and being able to really go after these big diagnoses, big conditions.
No, I just wanted to say that we are maybe a bit different as Cegat, because our philosophy is to free the data and also to make clear that the data belongs to a patient and you can decide what you want to do with it. Other companies have a different philosophy. They have venture capital and the only aim they have is to accumulate a lot of data in order to get sold to a bigger company. And that is never our aim. So when a patient comes to us, it's clear that this data belongs to a patient and we will always give it to a patient. And that makes a big difference to other sequencing companies, I think.
Big time.
Yeah, that's really good to hear. No, I think that's important. You're more about the people and their health than the money. And again, I'm not slandering the industry, but I think, I love the value you have with what you do. You're quite inspiring, really, very, very caring about the people you work with. It's not about the price of things, it's about their health. And I think that's the kind of soul that the industry needs,
Yeah, whenever we've wanted to bring ideas that we've found to you guys at Cegat, it's never met with, oh, this is silly. It's, hey, we'll have a look at it and we'll see what we how this works. It's never seen as a bad idea.
And even after I finish with the vaccine, I'm still visiting into one of the other departments to get Keytruda. And I just think as a whole, the service and the compassion everyone who works there has is quite amazing.
Yeah,
it makes you feel very welcome in situations I think are very uncomfortable for some people.
I think too as well. And this shouldn't be a strange thing, but a lot of the doctors that Beth has dealt with have been male. And then when we came to Cegat, it was really nice to see that your staff are actually probably skewed more female.
I think it's a female-led company.
Yeah, well, there you go. And there's something about when you're in a really dark spot, men, we don't have that ability, to be caring and calculated at the same time. We're one or the other. And I think we've been in some circumstances where it was during the pandemic and we were having to fly out there, and how caring people were and making sure that we were taken care of. Or when a problem's come up, it's always met with a balanced idea of okay, what can we pull off and what can't we pull off? But it's not as harsh. And I think that's from there being a larger majority of female doctors and stuff in the building. Because again, Beth's a female too. Like, it's
Thank you.
like, no, but like, that was the other thing that got me. Like, it was especially here in the UK, all their research and everything is skewed male. So when you talk about a female having cancer, suddenly they have like, they're less ideas. They don't know really what to do. It's, oh, this worked in like a male patient that we worked on. It was like, wait, like you guys have sort of left out half the human population. And like, yeah, again, I've never talked to you about that, but I always thought it was really cool.
I just wanted to check. We have it on our homepage. I think we are 60 or 65% female. But
Yeah,
in the end, it's doesn't really matter. You, like you say, we just want to have a great team with lots of ideas, but also what we always say is the patient is in our center, and what we do should make sense. And I just wanted to find out, Beth, when you were here for the first time, do you know this?
Cool.
so 2019, I think.
I can.
So,
I'm just
Yeah.
checking. I
'cause-
I think we came during COVID.
well,
like, at the
we
start.
got there before COVID, like just before all the lockdowns.
are here on August 12th, 2020.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's been a fair amount of time now, really, hasn't it? It's like
Well,
our
For
our
anybody,
traditional little trip.
for
every month.
anybody that watches this, when we got to Cegat, they told Beth that. So 6 months before we got to Cegat, they told Beth she had 18 months to 2 years to live. And then we got to Cegat 6 months later, and we are now talking to Saskia, the CEO, 5 years or 4 years on from that. Like, that's an incredible, like, you two as a team are incredible. It's an incredible thing that what you two have done together, which is insane. But like, yeah, I think people, if they get that perspective, they would understand like how special Cegat is, and like what you guys are doing, how important that is, what
To
that
me,
means.
it's like I don't feel like welcoming like a friend almost, you know?
Yeah, the reception ladies that you guys have are so funny as well. They're now friends. We see them every month. It's yeah, it's a really strange journey.
But like, first of all, Beth, I mean, you got something into your belly that is fully experimental, has never been approved in a clinical trial, and so this is really brave. So in the first place, this is you, and I think what we had have is a very trustful relationship, and when you ask questions, we take them very seriously, and we always wanted to address these, and so for us, it's what you say and the ideas you have as a patient is crucial to us. We cannot look this up in a book. For us, it feels like walking on the moon. We just have no experience with this, and no one honestly knew what's going to happen, and still we don't know. But what we try to do is to just build a team. So we are just a team around you, and so try to bring all our knowledge. The science actually is quite fast, and what we try to do, like I said before, is all the new data that we see, all the new trials that are done. And during the past years, what you also experienced is that personalized vaccines really became a hot topic. Many years ago, when we started, it was like everyone was looking at us. What are you doing? And this makes no sense, especially with this type of disease. And so I think we believe in it, and it takes a long time. But in the end, now we know that around the world, the big companies are doing trials for personalized cancer vaccines. So I think this is just great. It's still a long way to go, but it feels like we are going in the right direction together.
I mean, it's after how much work you've put in, it's more than deserved. So I think, what was the awards you've been given for that?
Yeah. What was we tried to look up some of the stuff that you've been awarded. So was it, and I might be getting this wrong, was it German Woman Innovator of the Year, or you were seen as German Woman? Is that correct? No?
So we founded Cegat in 2009, and we got the German Founders Award for startup companies, and that was awarded to Dirk in 2011. In 2014, I got a European Innovation Women's Award.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
That's awesome.
So that's 10 years ago, but the last 10 years, nothing happened.
I'm sure there's some awards in the pipeline soon, Saskia. Jeez,
Yeah.
if it was up to us, you'd get the Nobel Prize, for God's sake. So, like, yeah.
I would give it to the brave patients, and maybe at some point you have to meet with Hans-Georg Gammense. He really is our hero. When he invented the peptide vaccine, he injected it in himself. So, and that was a long time before I applied it. And when I vaccinated the first patient, I called him and asked him, is this going to be safe? Do I have to be afraid of doing harm? And he said, you can just do it. You will see there will be absolutely no harm. And he was right. And this is 12 years ago.
That's such a rock star that he just did it to himself. Because there's something about people testing it on other people, but if you're so confident that you're willing to do it to yourself, that's massive. That guy's I would love to talk to him. He sounds like an absolute rock star. Like, yeah.
He's very humble. He's in his 70s, and he is the most humble person. Actually, he is co-founder of companies. He is a scientist by his heart. He's not interested in money for himself, and he's driven by research and passion, and he's a phenomenal individual. So we are all very grateful to him.
Yeah, it's
not
awesome.
surprised. Yeah, it sounds cool.
Sounds awesome. So, like, when you say about that, because again, like, that's a part of the medical world that people will understand, that is when you get a crazy diagnosis, money does matter. But, like, if you have people like yourself and people like this gentleman you're talking about that truly that's not the driving force, that's very rare. Because again, like, I've never had the pleasure of meeting Dirk, your husband, but him as an economist, it must be wild in terms of, I'm sure you've had people approach you trying to give you like money and things like that, or expansion, or in terms of what you might needed. But as an economist, he must see that sort of side of it, and you have to try balance that hunger, I guess. But yeah, I'd be fascinated just to see what he thought when you guys started this up, because even like you say, like, people were saying, "Oh, you shouldn't do this," or "You should do this," but he obviously had complete faith in you, Saskia. Well, he's your husband, so of course he should. But yeah, like, but that's incredible. Like, yeah, I wonder what his perspective is on this, because that would be quite interesting.
Yeah, you have to come and meet him. When you're here next time, you let me know, and then we say hello to him.
Yeah, for sure.
I think not only that he got really interested in what we do, and that's unusual. If you have CFOs or CEOs of companies, they usually do not know in such a detail what we do, and he can give lectures on what we do, and we wouldn't even notice that his background is economics. So he really loves what we do. And I think it's important that you have someone with this knowledge in order to build the right company structure. And for example, what we did this year in April, we got back all shares from Cegat. So Dirk and I, we had 70% until April, and now since April, we have 100% shares back. So there's no one involved other than us, and that makes it really good for us to make decisions. Of course, it's for us something that we have to carry because it's not so easy to finance all that. Also, when you are you have to do this for several years, of course, and we are located in Tübingen. We are determined to be here. We build a future for our team, and they have families, and so we try to have a safe place also for the future. But it's not so easy when you look at all the developments in the world, and what's going on, but it gives us a lot of freedom to make the right decisions. And we are a family company, so our aim is not to get sold. We don't want to bring in someone new. We just think what we do is high quality and gives good results for patients. And this is something also we want to build for the long term. So that makes it also a little bit different to other companies.
I'm sure there's legislation that you might not be able to share this, but you said you guys do research there. Can you fill us in a bit more about that?
Research, you mean our in-house research or the sequencing we do for researchers?
In-house research?
Yeah, from the beginning, we invented everything we do ourselves. When we started sequencing, there was no software. So when the data came off the instrument, there was nothing you could use to visualize it or to analyze it. So, and this is what we do every day. Our bioinformaticians team, they develop our software further and further. And so the tests that we offer to patients, we develop them. So I think this is the type of, we are not doing basic research in a way. The basic research I've been doing at the university is totally different. Our research is revolving around our tests portfolio. We always have, we want to have the best test for each patient. So we don't want to do something that is off the shelf and with low quality. So our aim always is to have the best possible test, and this is what we work on.
There is one other person that is a big part of our team, and that's Dr. Golf. How did you come across him? How did he become part of Cegat? Because when we started with you guys, it was just your guys' office upstairs, and then you expanded with Dr. Golf, and he's a very humble, very nice man. I don't think I could ever convince him to do the podcast because he's that humble. But how did you know Dr. Golf? How did you guys meet? How did you expand it into this oncology section of the Cegat?
Yeah. So first of all, it's important he is not employed at Cegat.
Okay.
He's completely independent, and that's really a crucial point. He's a hemato-oncologist and also gastroenterologist. He's specialized in emergency medicine and also palliative medicine. And he is an independent thinker. And that's crucial because when we first met or he came across what we do, he said, this is interesting and I want to work with you, and we collaborate. And for us, this is important because the tests we do for universities and centers and clinics all over the world. We have to have this independent view, and this is crucial. So he's not part of Cegat. He's an independent oncologist, and he's one of the oncologists we are working with. And you're absolutely right. I think he first noticed that genetic testing is crucial for patients with cancer. He was one of the first to find with us that personalized cancer vaccines are at least part of the future. There are many other interesting things like CAR T cells, NK cells, and lots of things that come from all kinds of researchers all over the world. But it's important that what we do is always independently viewed by our doctors that we work with. And you're right. I think from the personality, this is what we try to live here. A medical doctor is the same as like the one who is cleaning the building. And so, we want to have an atmosphere that everyone who is working also in the laboratory, in the informatics team, in the IT help desk, for us, it doesn't matter. And I think you can confirm this when you walk into our building. This is the atmosphere that we want to create here.
Yeah. Even some of the nurses that we've had that have been working with Beth and that at the clinic are such nice people that they'll even remember things about you. And I think I know that's a very small thing, but if someone remembers the type of music you like or something that you mentioned to them last time you were there, you know that they're a genuinely nice person. Yeah. They're not just a number to you, and that's actually very apparent. And you notice that instantly when you walk oh, is it the hospital now, or the clinic, or whatever we call it, is it's the new institute or whatever, like, because the new building and stuff again, Saskia, looks amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you do get that vibe of these people actually care. It's not, you're not walking out and then they're going to completely forget you. Like that is a really nice thing about it.
Thank you for saying that. I just appreciate it a lot, and it means a lot to me and also to the whole team.
They're awesome people.
Yeah. I was gonna say, are you full at the moment in terms of patients, or if people get in contact, are you still able to take people on at the moment?
How are you guys at capacity, or are you guys taking new patients every day, or
just so for the listeners, really?
Yeah.
Not so easy to answer questions. So first, the first step always is the diagnostic step. And for the diagnostic step, we can scale. We just invested in a second machine, that we rely on these sequencing machines, our working horses. And we just invested in the second Nova X Plus, which is the latest available technology. So we doubled the capacity. So it means in terms of genetic sequencing, we have a lot of capacity. And my vision to fund Cegat together with Dirk was to make genetic testing available to every patient. And this is still our main mission. And here we can scale, and we still hope that prices go down and genetic testing becomes affordable and accessible to every patient. The second step, which is also a very crucial step, is an interdisciplinary board meeting. So, previously when I studied medicine, there was one doctor and he knows everything. He was a godlike structure. But nowadays, we work in teams. We work interdisciplinary teams, and I always try to put together a Champions League team, trying to find the best radiologist, the best surgeon, the best oncologist. And so, and then also now we also work with AI support, machine learning algorithms. And what we try to do is from all the data we generate in the first diagnostic step, we try to come up with the best individual treatment suggestion. And this is the second step. And here we can scale too. So all patients should get access to genetic testing. All patients should get access to an interdisciplinary tumor board in order to get a treatment recommendation. And then the third step is the accessibility of the treatment. And here it becomes challenging. And your question, I think, was asking whether we can include more patients for treatment. And yes, we are trying to build capacity here too. But, not for everyone, a vaccine is the best option. Imagine a patient, for example, who goes to the doctor completely healthy, and from 1 second to the next learns that the tumor has spread to the whole body. There's no time to build a vaccine. In such a situation, we have to sequence quickly. We have to bring it into the board. We have to look for treatments that are available potentially for other patients. We call this off-label treatment. So here we really can help a lot of patients just by doing genetic sequencing and giving availability to the tumor board. And then personalized vaccines, that Pfizer-BioNTech have a huge program in the UK, but also other companies are building capacity all over in the world, and we try to do this too. So of course, my vision is that every patient gets access to a personalized vaccine. Will I be able to do this at the moment? No. Not yet.
Yeah. Well, again, with having independent thinkers like a Dr. Golf and things like that associated with your institute, those types of opportunities of going to a place like Cegat, you guys are willing to listen, but also have the capacity to be able to recommend other things. So, for example, at the moment, with Dr. Golf, we are looking at an IDH inhibitor for Beth to be able to do that. So, these opportunities aren't given to you in places like the UK. You have to come to a place, just to give people a bit of perspective, you have to go to a place like Cegat or to one of the independent thinkers like Dr. Golf, to be able to actually get the opportunity to look at something else. Because like you say, there's a very much a godlike idea behind, say, for example, cancer, where you have this one god doctor that knows everything, and it's like, no, like, surely somebody else has a better idea than just this. And like, it's so important to get a lot of minds in the room to be able to get the best outcome, I think.
Yeah.
Like, because then you're drawing on everyone's experience, not just this one person. Like, yeah, it's very important.
Talking to you is so that time is just flying.
Yes, yeah, we've got about 5 minutes left. I don't
Is
like.
there
I know we know you're
anything,
very important, so like it's
if there's anything you'd like to specifically talk
yeah.
about, like absolutely go ahead, because yeah, this
Well,
is for you
like
guys
for
to, you know.
yeah, for like, is there anything that you would say to people out there that on just like a piece of advice, or like something that you think is very important that people should learn early on when they get these types of diagnoses? Is there any sort of
Yeah, I think the most crucial thing is to have a team that is navigating you. Many patients are in a situation where they are so shocked that they cannot really make the right decisions. And so finding a team that is helping to navigate, I think, is crucial. And I think the information is out there. You just need to have someone who is filtering it for you. And, and so I think this for me, in my view, the patient is central, because as a patient, you can decide everything that's happening with you, but you need to have the information. And it doesn't really make a lot of sense for patients if you have a doctor telling you do this, do that, and don't ask questions. And if you ask questions, I will not take care of you any longer. I think we have to come to a point where all patients have the right to have all the information in order to come to a decision that feels right for each individual patient. And this is always, I think, an individual path. And for me, it's great to have the technology. It's great to have AI and all kinds of things. But in the end, I think the greatest thing is to have the opportunity to speak in person. I'm looking forward to seeing you in person again soon, and then try to come together to, like what we did the past years, always trying to find the right path for Beth. And this is what is for me the most wonderful thing. And this is why I'm doing this. So thank you, Beth and Josh, for the journey we had together until now.
Yeah,
we should be thanking you.
Thank you, not ours.
Yeah, that's nice. Like, but yeah, again, like it for anybody that hears this, definitely we'll put a thing at the end of this, Saskia, where it just like tells everybody how to get a hold of you guys, or just for more information. But yeah, if I was to give anybody any piece of advice, find your Saskia. Like, like find it. It can be Saskia. Like, we all share Saskia. Like, she's great. But like but if you can find a Saskia Biskup that will listen and work with you, like that, yeah, and care, it changes the whole trajectory of what you do. But yeah,
Thank
again,
you so much. Thank you for interviewing me, spending time with me, and it's great to see you also that you're doing so well, Beth. So